Ladies and gentlemen, and I cannot believe I'm saying this, but welcome to the final time skip of the final episodes of Season 3 of GCW. Yeah, I can't believe I'm saying that either. But let's get back into it. So, a little recap from the Ultimate Rumble. Dangerous Dandy walked out still hardcore champion in that championship scramble. Jacob Smith is the new global champion. Brent Thompson defeated his mystery opponent, which ended up being Ice Dude, who came for a one-night only return by submission, which was followed by an attack by his brother Joey. The World Championship, Sean O'Connor regained the title. And in the Ultimate Rumble match, Tony McDaniels last eliminated Joey Thompson, which was ended up revealing that Brent had somehow gotten under the ring and pulled Joey a little bit while Tony McDaniels was eliminating him. And thus, in other words, Brent had cost Joey the Ultimate Rumble. And at the end of the CPV, Joey snapped and attacked Brent Thompson and kicked his ass all over the place. Yeah, with that, Oblivion episode number 13. Oh, before we go there was an after the bell moment that was basically an after bell and that started Oblivion. Tony McDaniels walks into Yankee Boy 50's office, and being the good American that he is, Yankee said he expected this. When he heard about the cheating thing, Tony McDaniels said that he would willingly give up his championship title match and give it to Joey or to the third place person, Ben Hitman. And actually, Yankee told Tony that he actually received messages from Joey and Ben, especially from Ben, saying that just because what happened, he should not give up his title match, because Sean O'Connor has been hell on guys like Ben Hitman and Joey Thompson. Season 1, Sean O'Connor tormented Ben Hitman and Ice Dude and Brent Harvenator and even his own brother Tommy O'Connor at the time. And then Season 2, he tormented Ben Moore and Brent Thompson. And he ignored the whole SmackDown roster with the CCWO thing and blah blah blah. Well, not just SmackDown roster, all the GCW. And then this season it was the Thompson brothers. And then Brad Eisman Harris, Reaper X. That, in other words, what Ben's trying to say is that Sean O'Connor had been a thorn in the side of everyone here in GCW. One of the only people that he hasn't been is Tony McDaniels. And basically that Tony McDaniels is kind of like the last hope that they have of shutting Sean O'Connor up. And Ben said he actually did some research and that Tony McDaniels didn't just want to be a wrestler as a kid, he wanted to be a superhero. And Ben said that this was Tony McDaniels' chance to be that superhero and to defeat the evil villain known as Sean O'Connor. And as Yankee Boy is telling Tony McDaniels this message, Tony McDaniels is just getting fired up and accepts. Once Yankee's done, he accepts. So there's basically your Bound to Victory 3 main event. Sean O'Connor defending the GCW World Championship against American-made muscle Tony McDaniels. Now to Oblivion episode 13. Tony McDaniels starts out Oblivion in the ring. He comes out and he restates his word from the end of the Ultimate Rumble without Sean O'Connor interrupting. He then talks about the actions of Sean O'Connor and how disrespected he feels, but it's no surprise because it's typical Sean O'Connor. Sean O'Connor then comes out and says, Tony McDaniels, in the recap, just in case you got after Tony McDaniels was celebrating his Ultimate Rumble win and cutting a promo, Sean O'Connor attacked him. Anyways, Sean O'Connor did come out and then says that Tony McDaniels deserves absolutely nothing. He's a loser, a nobody, a steroid-up freak, and a fraud. Sean O'Connor says that McDaniels should not have won the Ultimate Rumble, but no matter, Sean O'Connor says, because he claims he will defeat Tony McDaniels at the grandest stage of them all. Tony McDaniel says the contrary. Sean O'Connor then says they don't have to wait until Bound to Victory 3. They could tell it right now. When suddenly the music of Francis Cash, who returned at the Ultimate Rumble, hits, and he comes down to the ring. He takes one long look at Sean O'Connor, because Sean O'Connor took him out way back on like Oblivion episode 6, I believe. But then he suddenly attacks Tony McDaniels, helping Sean O'Connor. Francis says he doesn't care anymore that Sean O'Connor attacked him viciously. In fact, he considered it a wake-up call. Now Francis says he's back, better and stronger than ever, and that it should be him in the main event of Bound to Victory 3. Saka 105, then the general manager then comes out and tells Francis Cash that if that's what he believes, then tonight in the main event, for both McDaniels and Francis, it'll be put up or shut up, because that's the main event for tonight's Oblivion. Francis Cash versus Tony McDaniels. And then the opening bout is a hardcore championship match between Dangerous Danny and Brock. And Dangerous Danny retains the title. After the match, Ken Brington, who also returned at the Ultimate Rumble, comes out and congratulates Dangerous Danny on his success as hardcore champion. Ken says Danny reminds him of a younger him, loving the hardcore style. But this season, Ken hasn't been able to do much since he was put out of action by an ungrateful, jealous wannabe rookie. Meanwhile, Danny has been unstoppable as hardcore champion. Ken offers an interesting deal with Danny. Since there will be no big season premiere show for Season 4, he will allow Danny to walk into Bound to Victory 3 as hardcore champion, meaning Danny would have held the hardcore championship for just about all of Season 3, because he won it at the very first show of Season 3, Revolution Rebirth. He's guaranteed to walk into the final show of Season 3, Bound to Victory 3, with the hardcore championship. As long as Danny promises to give Brington a hardcore title match at Bound to Victory 3. Danny decides it would be an honor for such an excellent hardcore match and accepts the challenge. So that's a second match for Bound to Victory 3. Hardcore Championship. Dangerous Danny is going to defend the title against Ken Brington. And basically what's a battle of the hardcore superstars. Backstage, we have Jacob Smith, and he's bragging about how he defeated Lubu to become the new global champion. Jacob says he's pleased with the fact that he won the title, but it's not enough. Jacob says that he wants to be the world champion. He demands to be placed in the Money in the Bank ladder match at Bound to Victory 3. Again, another confirmed match. The Money in the Bank ladder match will happen at Bound to Victory 3. Saka 105, who comes into the room, decides that he sees no problem with that. But Yankee Boy 50 is on the Titantron, and he butts into make an announcement relating to the Money in the Bank ladder match this season. This season, there is going to be 6 wrestlers in the match as usual. One person, as approved by Yankee and Sako, as well as the board of directors, will be allowed to declare himself in the match. In addition, Yankee and Sako will each be allowed to add one person to the match, and then the other 3 entrants will be determined in qualifying matches. Yankee decides that he will allow Jacob Smith as the entrant who declares himself in the first entrant of the Money in the Bank, provided that the Money in the Bank also be for the Global Championship. Smith decides to agree to those terms. Besides, he won't need the Global Championship, he says, once he becomes Mr. Money in the Bank. Smith claims that he will win the Money in the Bank no matter who is involved. Yankee then announces his pick for the Money in the Bank ladder match. The man who Smith beat at the Ultimate Rumble CVV, as well as the man who Sako 105 hates, and the All Stars champion, Lubu. Sako, who hates Lubu with a passion, of course, is pissed and decides to pick someone who was in Yankee skin earlier this season for ruining a division, the light heavyweight. Sako 105's pick for the Money in the Bank ladder match, which is now also for the Global Championship, is Jack Rocket. Yankee finds that interesting, but has one more announcement to make relating to the pick he made, Lubu as well as Jacob Smith. Now, originally, Lubu was going to ask for a rematch tonight for the Global Championship, but Yankee told him about this concept. This is because Yankee and the board of directors want a certain individual in the match, and like the doctors won't clear him until the CPV himself. So, what Yankee Boy decides to do is offer this to Smith. If Smith promises not to have Nightmare interfere tonight, as well as an added stipulation where if Lubu wins, then the mystery individual who Yankee and some of the board of directors want is entered into the Money in the Bank. Then the match between Lubu and Jacob Smith tonight will be non-title, and Lubu will not use his rematch for a one-on-one, but wait until the Money in the Bank. After some thought, Smith agrees. Alright, so in other words, 3 qualified entrants are for the Money in the Bank and Global Championship 6-man ladder match are Jacob Smith, Lubu, and Jack Rocket. Now, there is one certain individual that is wanted, but he's not medically cleared yet to compete. So what's going to happen is tonight, it's Jacob Smith versus Lubu. And because Smith agreed that if he loses, that mystery entrant will be allowed in the match. And because Smith won't have Nightmare at ringside, tonight's match between Smith and Lubu is non-title. Alright, so just to clear up. Anyways, then we move on to the Tag Team Championship match as Maxim Max and Seamus McCoy take on the Williams brothers. And the match finish, Max and Seamus McCoy are going for a double team move, but they miscommunicate and hit each other. Seamus McCoy rolls out of the ring while Max gets hit with a capture suplex by Andy Williams, whatever his finisher is, that suplex maneuver. And Andy. And Andy Williams gets... Well, Andy Williams hit the finisher, but Alex Williams got the pin. That's right, I just said it. The Williams brothers have defeated Maxim Max and Seamus McCoy, and the Williams brothers are the new GCW Tag Team Champions. And they're happy, and of course backstage, Yankee Boy 50 is very happy because he didn't like Maxim Max and Seamus McCoy being the Tag Team Champions. But following that victory, Seamus and Max get into a little argument. Sorry, I lost my place. Following the upset victory, Seamus and Max get into an argument with Seamus accusing Max of no longer living up to his potential. Seamus attacks Max and leaves him hurt. Backstage, we see Cody Hawkins, and he says that being the light heavyweight champion gives him a chance to finally be on the main card for Bound of Victory instead of being on a pre-show battle royal like he did the past 2 seasons. He announces that since he's a guy who likes opportunities and since all titles should be defended at the grandest stage of GCW, he's announcing that tonight there will be a 4-man over-the-top rope battle royal with the winner getting a light heavyweight championship match against him, Cody Hawkins, at Bound of Victory 3. And the match starts right now. So immediately after it's a 4-man over-the-top rope battle royal. It's Tommy Ryan versus Mr. Amazing Ronnie Stevens versus Disco Kid versus Jason Skies. And Jason Skies wins. So yet another match for Bound of Victory 3. Light heavyweight championship is going to be on the line as Cody Hawkins will defend against Pretty Fly Jason Skies. Backstage, we see Jacob Smith warming up and preparing for his match against Lubu. So the non-title match happens, and Lubu ends up defeating Jacob Smith. Following the match, Yankee Boy 50 comes on the Titantron and introduces the person who qualifies for the Money in the Bank ladder match because Smith lost to Lubu. And Shane Jones makes his return to GCW once again, and he attacks Jacob Smith. So now the 4 participants out of 6 so far, the 4 confirmed for the Global Championship Money in the Bank ladder match will be Lubu, Jack Rocket, Jacob Smith, and Shane Jones. And with that, Sako 105 is walking backstage and notices a pissed off TyQ. Sako laughs at TyQ's misery, saying that he loves what he's doing to TyQ. Sako says that he's going to continue to do this until TyQ quits and leaves GCW forever, never to return. TyQ, with an angry groan, mumbles that Sako will have to beat the life out of him before he chooses to leave GCW. Walking away, Sako evilly says that he can plan for that to happen. Backstage, Joey Thompson attacks Brent, and Brent's trying to fight back, and eventually security has to be called. But then seeing all that's going on from his office, Yankee Boy 50 decides he's had enough and makes a couple of announcements. First, he's going to deal with Seamus McCoy and Maxim Max. Now, Yankee has been informed by the GCW doctors Max suffered from injuries and a concussion, but is expected to recover. Once Max does make a recovery, he will deal with those two, especially Seamus McCoy. With that, he announces that since Seamus McCoy and Max are no longer a tag team, and due to Max's injury, the team has forfeited their chance at a rematch for the titles. Therefore, tonight, the Reigns brothers and the Brooklyn Boys will fight in a number 1 contenders match, with the winners going to Bound to Victory 3 to challenge the new champions, the Williams brothers. Furthermore, Yankee Boy 50 has received a notice from the board of directors saying that they've had enough of Brett and Joey's constant fighting, saying that their fighting is causing a bad morale, affecting backstage and a lot of damage. So a decision has been made by Yankee Boy 50 and board of directors. If Brett and Joey want to have a match at Bound to Victory 3, they can, but only if they sign waivers saying that GCW is not liable for anything that happens to them and that their match is non-sanctioned. In other words, they can't sue GCW for whatever happens to them. They cannot go crying to mommy, daddy, blah, blah, blah. They cannot get the lawyers out. They can't sue Yankee Boy 50. They can't sue the board of directors. In other words, basically everything is on them. So then Yankee Boy 50 announces that the other 2 matches for the Money in the Bank ladder match, the qualifying matches, will happen on the next episode. When suddenly Rodney Stevens comes in and demands why he hasn't been getting what he deserves, all the attention, popularity, and championship shot. Yankee then says that he hasn't deserved any of it. Stevens then walks over to the camera and shuts off the power on the camera. In the ring, it then cuts to the ring where Quicksilver is in the ring and announces an open challenge to anyone in the back. And some jobber accepts the challenge. And then Quicksilver's defeated some jobber. We then go back to backstage, and something is suspicious by what Ronnie D. Stevens did when he shut off that camera, because Yankee Boy 50 is being taken away on a stretcher. Sacco then is in the GM office and announces that due to weird circumstances, Yankee Boy 50 is not going to be able to finish the show tonight. However, Sacco has decided to take charge as he is the new GM of Oblivion. With that, Sacco announces Yankees' plan for determining the new number 1 contenders for the tag titles. And that, in other words, that the Reigns brothers and Brooklyn Boys number 1 contenders match happens right now. And the Brooklyn Boys end up getting the win. So it'll be the Brooklyn Boys versus the Williams brothers at Bound to Victory 3 for the tag titles. Backstage, Ben Hibman is going to the ring for his match when Quicksilver attacks him from behind. In the ring, Mind Freak is pissed that he lost the Ultimate Rumble match. He wants to face someone at Bound to Victory that can actually give him competition. He wants somebody competitive, vicious, and hardcore. And he wants to face someone with the taste of blood on his mouth. Suddenly, a familiar song hits, Coming Home by Alter Bridge. And out comes the returning Brent Harvinator. Harv meets Mind Freak in the ring, and they have a stare down. They reluctantly shake hands when Harv then lifts up Mind Freak and cyclones him. Harv taunts, but then looks at Mind Freak and decides that he hasn't had enough. And he beats down Mind Freak with chairs, sledgehammers, and a variety of other weapons until Mind Freak's face is then busted open. Harv then walks away towards the back slowly. And actually, Harv beat him down so bad, the crowd actually began to boo Harvinator instead of cheering for him. And then backstage, we go to Sacco and explains that Yankee has a plan for those not involved with Bound to Victory right away. And he reveals a new championship belt, which kind of looks like the ECW Platinum Championship belt. And he calls it the Full Momentum Championship. And Sacco announces that next episode, Yankee will reveal the details on how the first ever Full Momentum Champion will be determined. Reaper X is then in the ring. He recaps the last few episodes in the Ultimate Rumble CPV. First, Sean O'Connor screws him out of a title match right after Sacco almost screwed him at the No Way Out CPV. Then he accidentally hits Iceman during his world title match with Sean O'Connor on accident, and Iceman blames him for it. Next, Iceman somehow forgives him and defeats Sean O'Connor to win the world title. A very happy moment for Reaper X. But then he loses it quickly at the Ultimate Rumble CPV, and that moment of happiness was taken away from him. And yet Iceman still thinks that he was screwed over more than anyone else here, and Reaper feels that Iceman still holds him responsible for some of Reaper feels Iceman still holds him, Reaper, responsible for some of Iceman's downfalls. Reaper says that he and Iceman have been good friends for a long time, since the days of WCCW and TWA. They've been partners, allies, and even former TWA Tag Team Champions. But now it seems that the two have gone their separate ways, and that what Iceman fails to understand is that Reaper is the superior of the two. Iceman then comes out and admits that he's very upset that he didn't succeed in his opportunities of capturing the World Championship. He does also understand that it isn't completely Reaper's fault that the two number one contenders were determined, based on what happened back at No Way Out, but Reaper still managed to get 2 fluke victories over him. Iceman says that he should be main eventing Bound to Victory 3 right now. Iceman says he came to GCW as a way to start fresh after his embarrassing losing streak. And some of this also comes from TWA, so you can go catch up on those episodes if you need to. But this isn't about TWA, it's about GCW. Iceman says that this new attitude and focus started back at TWA's Russian Roulette when he made Reaper X tap out. He then recalls that at a WCCW Call Mania 1 in the 6-man Hell in a Cell main event between TWA and WCCW superstars with the WCCW title on the line, Reaper X tapped like a bitch to Wild Lobo. Reaper then tries to counter by bringing back up TWA Revelation, when Reaper X forced Iceman to yell "I quit" over a live microphone in front of thousands of people. Iceman is then clearly ticked off by that comment, and then he tells Reaper he's not asking. He's demanding a one-on-one match with Reaper to determine that he is and always will be better than Reaper X. Reaper agrees and determines that there's only one place appropriate for that kind of match with that much intensity: Bound to Victory 3. But Reaper says if Iceman wants to bring up the Hell in a Cell, the match Reaper X now dominates simply because of one fluke tap-out victory, why don't they have their match at Bound to Victory inside of it? Iceman decides that after 3 years of friendships, rivalries, and fighting both side by side against each other, well, more than 3 years now, probably holy shit, 4 years, soon to be 5 at the end of this year, and fighting side by side, friendships, rivalry, and just like 3 certain individuals at WWE WrestleMania 28, this needs to be the end of an era. So the match is official and the two stare down. So backstage, Sako makes an announcement. There's going to be a special bonus match right now since Sean O'Connor really wants to get in the ring that badly. And it's going to be Teddy Long style. Holla, holla, holla. Tag team match player. Sean O'Connor and Brent Thompson versus Ty Q and Joey Thompson. And then in that match, Sean O'Connor and Brent end up beating Ty Q and Joey Thompson. Sean O'Connor ends up pinning Ty Q. Following match, the Thompson brothers are fighting up the ramp. And it ends with Brent powerbombing Joey off the stage. And then a small promo appears, and it says that King AGO is going to return at Bound to Victory 3. And then in the main event, it's Tony McDaniels versus Francis Cash. And Francis Control is about to win the match when the lights go out. And Kevin Cash makes his epic return to GCW, and he distracts Francis. McDaniels then gets up and hits the red, white, and blue Thunder Bomb for the win. Yes, I said Kevin Cash. If you didn't know, go watch All Stars 4. I'm just going to say. Alright, so take a minute. Okay. You good? Okay, good. So now, it's time for Oblivion episode 14. And earlier that day, several brawls occurred in the backstage area. Bret Harvinator and Mind Freak brawled. The Thompson brothers brawled. Ben Hitman and Quicksilver brawled. And then Seamus McCoy is looking for Max and Max when he's attacked by Max from behind. Despite Max supposedly not being okay to be in a GCW arena until Bound to Victory 3. But the show starts with Kevin Cash who comes out to the ring and is emotionally taking in all the cheers and applause from the fans. He confirms that it is really him and that he is indeed alive. Kevin does confirm that there really was a tornado warning on that night, that he supposedly died, and that he really did get crushed. It happened at his house, where fellow GCW superstar Blake Styles was there, Skylar Rain was there, Francis, Kevin's son and wife, Tyler was there, aka Rockin' Boy, and himself. And Blake and Skylar had already left when Kevin was trapped. Francis and Tyler got Kevin out when Kevin was trapped under the roof. And Francis said that he was going to take Kevin to the hospital. Instead, what Francis did was take him way out of town, somewhere in South Carolina, beat the shit out of him, took everything he had, and went back to the house in North Carolina and told everyone Kevin had died. Francis then married his current wife, who's now Kevin's ex-wife. Kevin, meanwhile, was back down in South Carolina recovering, as he was found a day later by a farmer. Kevin spent all that time down in South Carolina in rehab, and he retrained himself and had been waiting all this time for All Stars 4. Francis Cash then comes out and gives a small, sarcastic applause, saying Kevin isn't actually as dumb as he thought he was in this performance of a promo. Francis tells Kevin that he's pissed because Kevin cost Francis All Stars 4 just as he was about to put away Nathan Slash. Kevin says he knows, but it was no DQ, so there was nothing Francis could do. Francis, Kevin says, didn't even put up a fight. Kevin says that it's not because Francis was too shocked. Kevin says he knows the real reason. It's because Francis is scared of Kevin. Francis snaps and says that he is not afraid of Kevin, and that he has always been, is, and always will be better than Kevin, and that he will show it any time, any place, anywhere. Kevin then says that he just got done talking with Yankee Boy 50, actually, and Saka 105 earlier, and that it's been decided that Kevin and Francis will both be in action at Bound to Victory. They'll have a match, since Francis wants such a big match to Bound to Victory, even though it's not exactly what he wants. But that's not all. It'll be a steel cage match, only to be won by pinfall or submission. Kevin says that match is supposed to symbolize something. No matter how afraid Francis is of Kevin, and Kevin says he knows Francis is scared, there will be no escape from the beating and suffering Kevin is going to give him. And following that, there's a fatal four-way match, Money in the Bank qualifying. Napoleon ends up winning against Reverend J, Stephen Viper, and the Disco Kid. Backstage, Yankee Boy 50, wearing a few bandages, is making his way backstage, and he says he has a few things he has to deal with. Now, Yankee Boy 50 gets to the ring and says that quite a lot of things happened last episode. Unfortunately, he could not stick around for the whole show thanks to a certain someone. But that's for later, Yankee says. Now he has other issues to deal with. The first was earlier with Francis and Kevin Cash. Now, Yankee says he calls out the general manager, Sako 105. Sako comes out to the ring, and Yankee tells Sako that last episode he did a particularly good job as general manager. Unfortunately, it was only just good. Sako is mad and asks why. Yankee says first of all, Sako revealed plans for the special championship belt that he wanted to wait to reveal at the right moment. Sako said that it would be interesting to tease the fans. Yankee says while that is true, he also hates how Sako has been treating Tai Q as of late, and rumor was that if Yankee wasn't here tonight, Sako would have Tai Q fired. Sako says that it was only a rumor, but that he enjoys taking pride in attacking his brother and torturing him, and he wants to break Tai Q until Tai Q breaks and leaves Call Wrestling forever. Yankee says that what Sako just says means that Sako has taken his actions way too far over the line, and now Yankee can do whatever the hell he wants to Sako. In other words, now that Sako said it, it's a clear violation of his power. Where was I? Besides, Yankee Boy 50 had never given Sako the power to take over any presidential duties, including revealing of the championship. Sako laughs and says that he can't be fired because in the contract he signed there's a provision that states he can't be fired. The only thing that Sako can do to lose the job is to resign. Yankee laughs back and says that he won't be doing any firing. Sako might be doing some quitting, however. Sako says he won't quit annoying and torturing his brother or leave his position. Yankee says he's not too sure about anything because Yankee's going to put Sako in a match at Bound to Victory against Taikyu, and it'll be an I Quit match. Sako is pissed, but Yankee says what comes next might piss him off even more. If Sako loses the match, he's fired. Sako says he refuses to fight and is about to leave, but Taikyu comes in and tells Sako he should fight because it's the last time they'll ever do it. Yankee says this will convince Sako because Sako is confused until Taikyu tells him that when they fight and should Sako win, Taikyu promises that he will leave GCW forever and leave Sako alone. Sako thinks about it and then decides that that's a risk that he can afford to take and that it's pretty much a deal he can't refuse, and he accepts the match. Yankee then says that with the Cashes and Thompsons fighting and both confirming their matches to Big CPV, including the Thompsons signing their waiver forms, this creates an idea. Since these matches are all of brotherly nature and all have big build-up despite not being the main event, Yankee is announcing that not only will GCW have its annual All Stars Special Supershow coming up right before the final episode of Oblivion for the season, but he has already decided on the main event. A 6-man tag team match of brotherly hate. One team will be made up of the older brothers. Sako I think that Francis is older than Kevin. I'm not too sure. But one team will be made up of Sako 105, Brent Thompson, and Francis Cash. And their opponents will be Taikyu, Joey Thompson, and Kevin Cash. Now Yankee tells Sako and Taikyu to leave as he has even more announcements to make. After Sako and Taikyu leave, Yankee announces that he has even more information about the CPV as a result of the brawl. First, he starts with Mind Freak and Brent Harvinator. It's great that Harv returned, but the way that he constantly attacks Mind Freak is despicable and not right, even though it's understandable because Mind Freak put Harvinator out of action back in Season 2. So Yankee decides that Harv and Mind Freak will have a match at Bound to Victory 3. But it won't be any ordinary match. Since they want each other's blood so badly, and they won't stop until one of them gets it, because of that, their match will be GCW's first ever First Blood match. Then comes the issue that came out of nowhere between Ben Hitman and Quicksilver. Although it's not true to say out of nowhere, because part of it was revealed that, if you don't remember, back at the 2012 Turkey Bowl, Ben Hitman pinned Quicksilver in the final match, and Silver had to wear that turkey suit. So Silver felt pretty damn humiliated. Furthermore, Silver is so pissed about losing the Ultimate Rumble that he decided to do the open challenge and got even more upset when some jobber accepted. And apparently Ben Hitman was going to do the same thing, and rumors Hitman originally had the idea of doing an open challenge, but Silver stole it from him. Still, Hitman was going to do it until Silver attacked him backstage, that is. And of course, what I just said with the turkey suit and everything. So now, if Silver wants a match at Bound to Victory so badly, he's going to get one against Ben Hitman. But Yankee decides with a show like this, just Ben Hitman versus Quicksilver isn't good enough. And Yankee has given it some thought, and he's decided that just like how they had an Ultimate Submission match in DIW, they'll have one in GCW. And so the match at Bound to Victory 3 between Hitman and Silver will be Ultimate Submission 2. Next comes the issue between Max and McCoy. And it's funny, Yankee says, that how much he tried to dissolve the team, but in the end, the two dissolved themselves. And now it is true that Max shouldn't have been in the arena tonight, not even until Bound to Victory. So he had security escort Max back to the airport and home to Los Angeles. However, the actions and history between the two are good enough for there to be a match. So Shameless McCoy and Max will go one-on-one with each other at Bound to Victory 3. Finally, Yankee confirms what Sako introduced last episode, the new GCW Full Momentum Championship. But before anything else can be said, Mr. Amazing Ronnie Stevens interrupts and laughs at how pathetic Yankee is trying to put over a big CPV with such great matches, and yet the best superstar isn't on the card. Yankee says, like he says last week, because Stevens hadn't deserved it. Stevens said he had chance after chance after chance. I mean, Yankee says that Stevens has had chance after chance after chance, but Stevens fails and doesn't deliver. All that he is known for is being the fattest light heavyweight on the whole roster. Stevens flips and then says that he's sick of the fat jokes, the black jokes, and jokes about being nothing but a fraud. He's had it, and that's why he attacked Yankee last episode, to send a statement to everyone who was watching and to everyone on the GCW roster and in the call world that Rodney Stevens will not be someone to mess with anymore, and anyone that does will be obliterated. Yankee says for a failure of a person and cheater, Stevens likes to talk, but Yankee says he wants to see if Stevens can back it up, like his buddy Dolph Ziggler. Stevens gets even more pissed and swings at Yankee, but Yankee counters and nails a super kick, which dumps Stevens to the outside. Yankee then yells that if that's how Stevens wants to be, then he won't get a chance at the full momentum title on Money in the Bank. But he'll still be in a match at Bound to Victory. A match against Yankee Boy 50 himself. So yeah, there you go. And then the next match finally happens. It's a last chance qualifying match for that Money in the Bank Global Championship ladder match. It's Stevie T versus Brock versus Tommy Ryan versus EAS Test versus Mr. Canada versus Nathan Slash, and EAS Test ends up winning the Battle Royal, or whatever it's called, 6-pack elimination challenge, 6-man elimination, whatever it is. And then Yankee Boy 50 announces tonight's main event on Oblivion 14. Sean O'Connor, Brent Thompson, and Francis Cash against Tony McDaniels, Joey Thompson, and Kevin Cash. Also, Yankee announces now that a lot of people have Bound to Victory matches, how the Full Momentum Championship will be decided at the CPV. So here's how the Full Momentum Championship is going to be decided at Bound to Victory 3. It'll start on the pre-show with a 20-man battle royal. The participants will be everyone who doesn't have a match yet at the CPV. Those participants are Tommy Ryan, Chad Reigns, Dan Reigns, Mr. Canada, Reverend J, Brock, Stevie T, The Disco Kid, Nathan Slash, Steven Viper, The General, The Returning King AJO, Some Jobber, Who the Hell Is This, Generic Douche, Default Call, Tommy O'Connor, and Nightmare. That's only 18 because that's all that's announced. Yankee says that there'll be 2 other participants, 1 mystery returning superstar, and finally, this is a big announcement, the winner of NCG that is revealed before the match. Now, this Battle Royal will not have a winner, because the final 2 left in that Battle Royal will move on to later that night on the actual CPV card to go one-on-one with each other, and the winner of that one-on-one match will be the first ever GCW Full Momentum Champion. In other words, it's kind of like a gauntlet for the gold. Only one part of it's on the pre-show and the other part's on the actual CPV. Backstage, Reaper X and Brad Iceman Harris cross paths, but the two just stare at each other for a whole minute before Reaper walks away. Cody Hawkins and Dangerous Danny then defeat Ken Brington and Jason Skies in a tag team match where Danny pins Skies. Backstage, Sean O'Connor confronts Tony McDaniels, poking fun at him for being such a pathetic, whiny little baby because he's going after the championship for a dream, not for anything else. He tells McDaniels he has no pride. McDaniels says that Sean O'Connor has lost the way with which he started to chase championships for pride and glory. McDaniels says that he does have pride and spirit. He then turns to leave, but Sean O'Connor nails him in the back of the head with the title belt. Backstage, Shane Jones is being attacked by Jacob Smith and Nightmare until Lubu makes the save. And then in the main event, Tony McDaniels, Kevin Cash, and Joey Thompson defeat Sean O'Connor, Francis Cash, and Brent Thompson when Kevin Cash pinned Brent Thompson in the finish. Then comes the All Stars Special Supershow. And match card is basically a lot of tag team matches. Let's see. Yeah, so the match card is announced, and the first match is the 6-man tag featuring the participants in the ladder match for the Money in the Bank and Global title at Bound to Victory 3. It's Jacob Smith, Jack Rocket, and Napoleon taking on Shane Jones, Lubu, and EAS Test. and the team of Smith, Rocket, and Napoleon get the win. Then comes another six-man tag. The Brooklyn Boys and Ken Brington defeat the Williams Brothers and Dangerous Danny. Then a 3-on-2 handicap match. Quicksilver, Ronnie Stevens, and Seamus McCoy defeat Ben Hitman and Mind Freak. Then in a tag team match, Sean O'Connor and Brad Iceman Harris defeat Tony McDaniels and Reaper X when Sean O'Connor pins Reaper X. And in the main event, it's the six-man tag Brotherly Warfare match. And Socko 105, Brent Thompson and Francis Cash defeat Ty Q, Joey Thompson and Kevin Cash when Brent pins Ty Q. And then finally, it's the final episode of Oblivion, episode 15, the final episode of Oblivion before Bound to Victory 3. And the first 5 matches all relate to the tag team match and Money in the Bank. Tag team match and the Money in the Bank Global Championship ladder match. Let's see. In the first match, D-Mac defeated Andy Williams. In the second match, Alex Williams defeated K-Wack. In the third match, Lubu defeated Jack Rocket. In the fourth match, EAS Test defeated Napoleon. In the fifth match, Jacob Smith with Nightmare defeated Shane Jones. And in the main event was a 20-man battle royal featuring Mind Freak, Ben Hitman, Quicksilver, Seamus McCoy, Rodney Stevens, Reaper X, Brad Iceman Harris, Kevin Cash, Francis Cash, Joey Thompson, Brent Thompson, Ty Q, Sean O'Connor, Tony McDaniels, Dangerous Danny, Ken Brington, Cody Hawkins, Jason Skies, Tommy Ryan, and Mr. Canada. Yeah, which one's the odd man out? Tommy Ryan, I know. And I actually didn't do this match. I should actually do this match and then simulate it on WWE 12. And then I'll just put in an annotation who won, who was last eliminated. And or maybe I'll put something in the description that talks about the match. But then after the match is what's most important. Several brawls occurred. Hitman and Silver are brawling backstage. Harvinator jumped Mind Freak, and Mind Freak and Harvinator are brawling backstage. Harris and Reaper X are brawling backstage. The Cash Brothers brawl backstage. Thompson Brothers brawl backstage. Taiki broke into Socko's office, and they brawl backstage. Yankee Boy 50 and Ronnie Stevens brawl backstage. Max makes a surprise attack and attacks Seamus McCoy, and then most importantly, Sean O'Connor and Tony McDaniels brawl backstage. And basically the last Oblivion of the season ends with everybody brawling. And with that, until Bound to Victory 3, Oblivion closes its doors. Thank you guys for listening so much. I know it's a lot of time, but I'm TJ Yankees 1. And we'll see you at the season finale of Season 3. We'll see you at Bound to Victory 3. But before we go, I will quickly run down the match card for you. Quickly. Okay, on the pre-show, we're going to reveal the NCG winner, and we're going to have a 20-man battle royal, which is the first part in the gauntlet for the goal to determine the first ever GCW Full Momentum champion. Then the actual CPV itself will open up with a tag team championship match. The Williams Brothers defend against the Brooklyn Boys. Then the hardcore championship match. Dangerous Danny is going to defend against Ken Brington. The Money in the Bank ladder match for both the Money in the Bank briefcase and Global Championship. Jacob Smith versus Shane Jones versus Jack Rocket versus EAS Test versus Napoleon versus Lubu. And Jacob Smith is the defending Global Champion. Then the Light Heavyweight Championship. Cody Hawkins versus Pretty Fly Jason Skies. Cody Hawkins is champion. Is a defending champion. He'll defend against Pretty Fly Jason Skies. Then it's going to be the first blood match between Mind Freak and Brent Harvinator. Ultimate Submission 2, Ben Hitman versus Quicksilver, Seamus McCoy versus Max, Yankee Boy 50 versus Rodney Stevens, End of an Era, Hell in a Cell, Reaper X versus Brad Iceman Harris. Then it's the one-on-one to determine the first ever Full Momentum champion, based on who are the final two in the pre-show battle royal. Then the pin submissions, no escape, only steel cage match. The no escape pin submission only steel cage match. Francis Cash versus Kevin Cash. Non-sanctioned match between Brent and Joey Thompson. The career versus career I Quit match. Socko 105 versus Ty Q. And then the main event is for the GCW World Championship as Sean O'Connor defends against American Made Muscle Tony McDaniels. See you at Bound to Victory 3.